Goodbye YouTube, how's it going everybody? Got for y'all today another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle yet again, and this time is going to be against Tbob27. Whenever you see this man, leave a comment down below and I will make sure to add your channel link down in the description. And what I honestly should start doing is asking what people's YouTube channel is when I finish battling them, because that way I wouldn't have to mention it in every narration that I do, which I'm probably going to start doing that. But yeah, anyways, before I get into talking about the team preview, I actually want to give a big thanks to you guys for showing my previous two battles such great feedback, because they have been 10+ minute uploads. And the reason why I bring this up is because in the past, and I still kind of feel the same way to this day a little bit, I thought that if I uploaded a video that was like 9 or 10 minutes long, that nobody would watch it. I thought that people would be like, oh, I don't want to watch this, it's too long, I'm not going to waste my time. But seeing just how amazing the feedback was on my previous two battles has given me, I guess you could say, confidence to no longer speed up my videos as much as I used to in the past. Because what I used to do was speed them up to the point where I knew that it wouldn't be like 8 or 9 minutes long, and then I could still be able to talk, although I would have to talk fast. I wouldn't talk to the point where people wouldn't understand me. And now I feel that I no longer have to do that, because you guys have given my past two uploads that were battles, not counting the PS Live, such great feedback. And just thank you everybody for showing me that support. You guys are really awesome. Anyways, team preview. I have a really fun team. I got Focus Sash, Stealth Rocking, Mamoswine, Physical Defensive, Resto Chestar, Rotom, Physical Defensive, Calm Mind, Reuniclus, Nasty Plot, Mega Lucario, which is a monster, Physically Defensive, Mandibuzz, and I just noticed I have 3 physical defense walls. And then finally off, I have Specially Defensive Trevenant, and no, not any normal Trevenant. Oh, no, you will see in this battle what kind of Trevenant. Now looking at T-Bob's team, the only real threats I see are going to be Gengar and Azumarill. Azumarill obviously being Choice Banded with its dual stab is going to be a huge problem, because nothing on my team safely switches into any one of its stabs. And then if Gengar turns out to be the sub-disable set, that could really screw me over, because the only Pokemon on my team that can outspeed it is Mega Lucario, and that is only if I Mega Evolve. So I have to find some way to make sure Gengar doesn't have a substitute up when I bring in my Lucario. But I'm going to be leading off with my Mamoswine, as he's going to be leading off with the Rotom. I had a feeling he would lead off with the Rotom, but on the off chance that he didn't, I did lead with my Mamoswine. So expecting him to go for the Volt Switch and Will-O-Wisp, I'm going to bring in my shiny, perfect Trevenant. Oh, God, I just absolutely love Shiny Trevenant. This has jumped up to one of my top 3 favorite shinies, the other 2 being Shiny Gliscor and Shiny Nidoking, because their shades of blue are fucking awesome. But Shiny Trevenant is just so, it's beautiful, it's amazing. Anyways, he burns my Lumberry, and I'm just gonna wait to get it back. So I'm just gonna stay in Will-O-Wisp again, expecting him to want to switch out. Even if he didn't switch out, I knew that eventually I would get my Lumberry back and get rid of the burn. As I do catch the incoming Lucario, I was actually really happy because I thought that Lucario was no longer going to be a problem. But then I remembered, oh hey, Lucario can be specially offensive. So I switch into my Mandibuzz, hoping that I can take any hit that he wants to go for, and hoping that he wouldn't go for a Nasty Plot. I mean, even if he did, I could just Whirlwind him out after taking a +2 hit. Although I wouldn't appreciate taking the hit, I still would have gone for the Whirlwind, as he goes for the Dark Pulse, does practically nothing to my Mandibuzz, and I'm going to be able to wear him down with the 12% every turn from the burn. I'm just going to go for the Whirlwind, thinking that he might want to go for the Nasty Plot, because I know Knockoff would have done like no damage. And of course, I Whirlwind him out into the Rotom. Obviously, I don't want to stay in and get burned or get hit by a Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, so I'm just going to make the safe switch into my Trevenant, which can take this Rotom on one-on-one. And he turns out to have the Thunderbolt, which you never really see on Rotom, so I was thinking that he either doesn't have Volt Switch or he doesn't have Rest. And seeing that he doesn't have Leftovers, I'm positive that he most likely doesn't have Volt Switch, because he is probably a Resto Chesto variant. As I get my Lumberry back, I'm able to get rid of the burn, and I have been thinking about possibly running Chestoberry on this Trevenant, just because I hate like wasting my Lumberry on a burn or a Toxic or Paralysis, as where if I had the Chestoberry, I can just rest up and get rid of my berry that turn, then get it back and keep up the process. So I might try out Chestoberry Trevenant instead of Lumberry Trevenant. So he brings in the Ferrothorn. Obviously I do nothing to it because it does resist my move. I'm just going to stay in and I'm going to go for the Will-O-Wisp again, which was a really dumb play on my part. What I should have done was gone for the rest, but I didn't do that because I thought he might want to stay in trying to get up spikes or stealth rocks, as this turn is going to predict me to switch out, but I'm actually going to stay in thinking that he would go for a nasty plot. This way I can be brought back up to full HP, and then I can just switch out into my Mandibuzz, which should be able to live a hit from Lucario even after a Dark Pulse. So I could take the Dark Pulse and Aura Sphere and Whirlwind him out, although that was very risky of me. He did actually end up switching out, and I'm going to make the safe switch into my Rotom, which should be able to take literally any move that Mamoswine wants to go for. And seeing that he doesn't have the Life Orb, I was really confident in the fact that he had the Focus Sash, which means I need to find some way to break the Sash on Mamoswine before I bring in my Lucario on it. So I'm going to Volt Switch, knowing that he would want to switch out as he brings in the Rotom. I can safely Volt Switch into my Lucario, and at the amount of HP that he was at, I was really confident in the fact that after a Mega Evolve, a Shadow Ball would be able to easily knock him out. So I Mega Evolve and I go for the Shadow Ball. He lives on like literally 1 HP, and then he misses the Hydro Pump. Now this miss was very crucial. Although there was no way he would have knocked me out with the hit, he would have brought me down to a very low amount of HP. And I definitely would have played differently with my Lucario, and you'll see near the end of the battle what I mean. So I bring in my Rotom, expecting him just to want to go for an Earthquake, thinking that maybe I would want to stay in, risking taking him out. And he most likely does have the Focus Sash, so he would live and knock me out with an Earthquake. But he does predict me to switch out, goes for the Stealth Rocks, and this turn is going to bring in the Ferrothorn as I predict that, and I go for the Will-O-Wisp. Now I can start getting the very well needed residual damage on this Ferrothorn to take him down, and I'm just going to go for a Volt Switch again because I can obviously do nothing to this Ferrothorn, and this is one of the 2 slow parts in this battle. That's why it's kind of like really sped up, because there's not really much that's going to happen except that I'm going to go for the knockoff to get rid of the leftover, so I can more easily wear down Ferrothorn than I would have already been able to. And he's just going to go for the Leech Seed, getting back a good amount of HP. As this turn I'm just going to go for the Defog, thinking that maybe he would want to go for Protect, but he actually ends up switching into the Azumarill, maybe thinking I would go for Defog or just go for another knockoff. Then this turn I make an extremely stupid play, and I stay in and I go for the knockoff. What I should have done was brought in my Reuniclus and then save my Mandibuzz for later in the battle, but I was thinking that once I knock off the Choice Band on Azumarill, Mandibuzz can easily live any hit that he wants to go for, and then I can just roost off the damage. But no, I just get utterly annihilated by a Play Rough. As I bring in my Rotom, I make an extremely stupid play again, and I go for the Will-O-Wisp, thinking he would stay in, and honestly what I should have done was just gone for the Volt Switch, because now he can possibly start getting up spikes on my team. Luckily though, he just ends up going for the safe Power Whip as I Volt Switch into my Trevenant, and this is kind of the other slow part in this battle. That's why it's really sped up, because it's really nothing happening. It's just me taking out the Ferrothorn. As he brings in the Gengar, I was really positive that I could take any one hit that he wanted to go for, so that's why I went straight for the Rock Side, but he turns out to have the Substitute, and as soon as he went for Substitute, this automatically told me that he most likely does have the Disable. So expecting him to go for Disable, I'm actually going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. Unfortunately, he predicts that, and I was so close to going for Rock Slide, and I really should have. Luckily though, Trevenant being specially defensive is going to be able to live the hit and in return still break his Substitute, which is really good for me, although again it's kind of a mind game on whether or not he'll go for Disable or go for another Substitute. But either way, I'm just going to go for the Rock Slide as he ends up knocking me out with the Shadow Ball. And unfortunately my beautiful Shiny Trevenant is now gone. On the bright side though, I can now get a free switch into my Mega Lucario, which outspeeds Timid Gengar by 5 points because I myself am timid. And I'm just gonna go straight for the safe Shadow Ball. I cannot mess around with this Gengar. It is way too big of a threat as he brings in the Lucario. Even after the burn, he lives. So expecting him to want to go for the Aura Sphere and me not wanting to risk the speed tie, I'm gonna make the safe switch into my Reuniclus as he does end up going for the Aura Sphere. And what I should have done was gone into my Rotom as Death Fodder, because now what he can do is bring in Gengar, substitute on my Psyshock, disable my Psyshock, then substitute again, because my only other offensive move is Focus Blast. But thankfully for me, he probably thought that I had Shadow Ball and he goes for his own Shadow Ball, knocking out my Reuniclus, which means this Gengar is still not behind a substitute. I can now get a free switch back into my Mega Lucario. Much like before, I'm not going to mess around with this Gengar. I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. As he predicts me to Shadow Ball, he's going to bring in the Mamoswine, which I found to be a bit odd, because he could have easily brought in the Azumarill, but this turn predicting me to go for Aura Sphere, he is going to bring in the Azumarill. And unfortunately for him, I actually ended up getting a crit with this Aura Sphere, although in the long run of the battle, I'm not too sure how much it really matters, just because I do have the Flash Cannon. But this is where him missing Hydro Pump with his Rotom earlier matters, because I'm going to be able to live this Aqua Jet. Now, if he had hit the Hydro Pump earlier with the Rotom, I definitely would have not stayed in. I would have most likely switched into my own Rotom, which could have been able to easily take the Aqua Jet, and then I could have rested up. But in the long run of the battle, the miss might have been game-changing, and it might have not been, because I don't know if he was defensive or offensive. And as I said, if he was offensive, I still would have been able to live the hit, although there was a small chance of him being able to knock me out. But then if he was defensive, the max damage it would have done was like 70% if I'm not mistaken, because I did run some damage calcs after rewatching the battle, and as you saw there, Aqua Jet did about maybe 30%. So in the end, it probably would have come down to min or max damage if he had been a physical defensive Rotom. Although there is a chance he could have been specially offensive, although most Rotoms are offensive nowadays. Anyways, I'm just rambling. But yeah, in the end, it was definitely a fun, very intense battle. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe for more content. Don't forget to go check out my previous upload that should be playing on your screen right now, and there is an annotation, so click that, and you guys can go watch that if you missed it. And with that, guys, I will try to continue uploading daily, so expect a new video tomorrow, and I will be seeing you guys soon. So later, everybody.